In 16th and 17th century Europe, wigs weren't merely a fashion statement. They were a practical solution to a deeply uncomfortable problem. At a time when regular bathing was rare and shampoo didn't exist, lice infestations were rampant, affecting even the wealthiest aristocrats. Instead of washing their hair, many nobles chose to shave their heads entirely, removing the natural home of these pests. To cover their bald scalps and maintain a proper appearance at court, they wore wigs often elaborately styled and made from human or animal hair. This solution allowed them to maintain hygiene more easily. Wigs could be removed, boiled, aired out, or cleaned separately, a luxury not possible with real hair. Wigs quickly evolved from a medical necessity into a symbol of prestige. In the courts of France and England, both men and women competed to wear the most extravagant wigs, powdered white or pale gray, curled into complex structures, and adorned with ribbons, feathers, or even miniature ships. For noble women especially, wigs served another purpose: hiding hair loss caused by poor stress, skin conditions, or overuse of toxic beauty products like lead-based powder. Many aristocratic women, ashamed of their thinning hair or balding patches, relied on wigs to maintain the illusion of youth and health. One of the most influential figures in the history of wig wearing was King Louis XIV of France, known as the Sun King. Despite his divine aura and carefully curated public image, Louis began losing his hair in his early 20s, a devastating reality in a time when a full head of hair symbolized health, virility, and divine favor. Rather than allow his thinning scalp to diminish his majesty, he embraced wigs as a tool of transformation. He commissioned an army of wig makers to design voluminous, cascading which soon became an inseparable part of his royal identity. His decision didn't just hide his baldness, it started a continental trend. At Versailles, no courtier dared appear. Nobles spent small fortunes acquiring wigs modeled after the king's style, and wig makers known as perruquiers rose to near celebrity status. Decades earlier, Queen Elizabeth I of England had already mastered the use of wigs not for vanity, but for survival. After contracting smallpox in 1562, Elizabeth's once thick auburn hair began to fall out in clumps, leaving her scalp scarred and thin. To maintain the image of the ever-virginal, ever-ageless queen, she began wearing vibrant red wigs with a high forehead, a style that soon became iconic. A single high-quality wig could cost as much as a servant's annual wage. Elizabeth's wigs, paired with her stark white lead makeup, transformed her into a living symbol half-woman. Even in private, she refused to be seen without her artificial hair. The wig became her mask, her armor, and her throne, all at once. Louis even had a special wig chamber in his palace, where dozens of wigs were stored for different occasions, for councils, balls, religious ceremonies. Some wigs were so heavy that noblemen required special neck supports to keep them balanced. In the gilded world of Versailles, the bigger your wig, the higher your rank. But Louis was not the first monarch to understand the power of illusion. These wigs were far more than accessories. They were political tools, crafted to project stability and divine power at a time when a female ruler was seen as vulnerable. Elizabeth's wigs, paired with her stark white lead makeup, transformed her into a living symbol half-woman, half. Even in private, she refused to be seen without her artificial hair. The wig became her mask, her armor, and her throne all at once. More than a century later, Marie Antoinette of France would take the royal wig tradition to new, outrageous. Her towering hairpieces became symbols of both decadence and defiance. Styled into elaborate poufs that sometimes exceeded 3 feet in height, her wigs featured miniature ships, porcelain figurines, gardens made of silk flowers, and even whole scenes from opera. Maintaining these styles took hours, and a small army of stylists. To rule, one also needed the right hair, often fake, often heavy, often absurd. But beneath the powdered curls and perfumed locks was a silent truth. The monarchs were no different from anyone else. Vulnerable, insecure, fighting decay with fashion, and hiding it all beneath the wig. It was rumored that Marie had dedicated hairdressers for each step. One to clean the wig, one to powder it, one to scent it, and another to build it into a sculpture worthy of court appearances. To enhance the sheen of her wigs, she was said to have used dust made from crushed pearls or ground diamonds, believing it gave her a divine glow during candlelit balls. But underneath all the extravagance, her natural hair was rumored to be thin and fragile. They were symbols of control in a world where control was slipping. A royal wig concealed the human beneath, replacing fragility with power, age with youth, illness with splendor. There were whispers of lice, and even mice nesting in the powdered wigs of Versailles, and satirical pamphlets across Paris mocked her towering coiffures as symbols of excess and ignorance. Yet for Marie, as for Elizabeth and Louis before her, wigs were never just about beauty. In the grand courts of Europe, a crown alone wasn't enough.